Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali on TV1.
And a very good day to you and welcome to Newsline. Again, Newsline finds itself in London, in Richmond, and our guest today will talk about how another aspect of raising revenue for the state is being almost willfully neglected to the great detriment to the people of our country and the near empty coffers of our treasury. And my guest is a activist lawyer, usually representing or almost always representing the people's interest, Mr. Nagananda Kodithuwakku. Hello, Naga, and welcome to the program.
Hi, Farah.
Sri Lanka is engulfed with all sorts of challenges. A lot of it centers around money, poverty, and so on. But also a lot of it is to do with corruption. Poor governance really usually causes that. But there's one aspect which caught my eye by listening to the several things that you're doing out there. And one of that was, of course, your claim. And you are a person retired from the Customs Service. The Customs Department, the revenue, could actually be 1,800 billion or 1.8 trillion.
Correct.
Because you say there is corruption, but that's double what the customs are collecting now. Is corruption at customs such a big item?
Absolutely, yes. Not just customs.
Right.
This institutionalized corruption for us, it prevails in the Customs Department, in the Revenue Department, and the Excise Department. These three departments are the major revenue generating government departments. Because of this institutionalized corruption, entire nation suffer. The fundamental reason for the institutional corruption is the breakdown of the rule of law.
Right.
And you mentioned that I said that it can be double.
Yes.
Recently, this issue was taken up in the Court of Appeal.
Right.
About the loss of revenue.
Right.
Reason is, like other organs, even the Parliament, Cabinet of Ministers and the head of the state, right? There is no rule of law prevails. All over there is a breakdown of rule of law. It comes down to the bottom, right? One of the organs suffer hugely, the Customs Department.
Right.
And always...
What prompts you to say, Mr. Nagananda, that revenue can be increased by double?
Yes, that's what I want to explain to you. Right now, the department collects about 900 billion.
Right.
So always for the custom purposes, okay, for the revenue collection purposes, value is always, okay, value for any commodity for the collection of revenue is the value declared by the importer.
Right.
Transaction value agreed between a buyer and a seller.
Right. So that invoice is presented to
Absolutely. Commercial invoice. Car matter in where 16 billions of revenue involved. Because the defrauded, for the simple reason, importer declared almost half of the value.
Right.
So it's one such example. Okay. And almost in all cases, importers, you can't find fault with them. When there's a system failure, you get corruption all over. So take for example...
But talk about how you're leading me towards an answer where we can make the revenue collection by customs not just 400 million more like the government wants them to, but what you're saying is double by 900 billion.
That's what I'm going to explain to you. Say for example one commodity, take for example this mobile phone, okay, and if the actual transaction value, okay, for custom purposes is $100, and the revenue, ad valorem rate of duty is $50, 50%, how much you pay for that? 50.
Right.
If you declare, instead of $100, the actual transaction value, if you declare $50, what would be the tax you pay?
Just $25.
25. That is what exactly happened in the Department of Customs.
Right.
Importers, for this, because of this total breakdown of the rule of law, so the person who paid earlier $100, okay, and declare the actual valuation for the commodity and pay correct duty, and they bring down the value for custom purposes.
That is to defraud the...
Defraud the revenue. Say earlier you declare $100, next year $80, again $60, $50, it comes down to about $30.
If we have any questions about this, you can send a SMS 0772 300 305 and we'll take the answers up on a forthcoming program. Carry on.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
very
Now the importer.
Yeah.
Now we declare this is done with the connivance of the customs. Okay.
Right.
Don't think that this is done by the importer alone.
Okay.
That's a connivance. This is why all these department works.
Right.
So when you declare lesser and lesser price for the custom purposes, and you pay less duty.
Yeah.
Earlier you paid $50 at the rate of 50%.
Yeah.
Now you paid $20, $30 like that. It comes down and down and down. Right? So
at each stage you are defrauding the state of its revenue.
At the point of payment of tax.
Right.
So when you furnish a bill of entry for the custom purpose, you won't declare the actual valuation.
Right.
That's what we took a value of $100. No?
Yeah.
So earlier you declared $100.
Yeah.
It comes down to $30.
Right.
So
By false declaration.
by false declaration for custom purposes, you won't declare the actual valuation.
Right.
So
So explain this other side to me. So an importer turns up with some paperwork for whatever the goods are. Let's say in this case a phone.
okay.
All right. And he says, I've got 100 phones here.
Yeah.
And here's the invoice. It's it's actually $50 each.
Yeah.
But does the customs have its own independent way
Yeah.
of verifying the actual commercial value of a telephone?
We are in what year now? It is available in the internet.
Right.
You can get the actual valuation of any commodity through the internet.
But as a rule, does
No.
the custom use that?
That is what is expected from the custom department
Right.
as a
But if they
key revenue agency.
But surely every transaction is not bereft of fraud or includes fraud. Let's say in the instances where the customs are acting properly,
Yeah.
how do they verify that this button or this whatever is the actual value for customs purposes is X? How do they do that?
So because they do the verification.
Right. How do they verify?
Verify from the other sources. We are member of the WTO, no?
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
World Trade Organization, we are compelled to follow the World WTO Valuation Agreement.
Right.
So
Sri Lanka
therefore,
is a
member
signatory to
they
that.
are signatory to that.
Right.
Okay. So when we are a member, we are expected to verify when somebody declare value for custom purposes, custom department is expected to verify it for accuracy.
So there'll be an HS code for
Yeah,
every item.
HS code.
This phone, this watch would have a HS code.
Yes.
And therefore you know that under this HS code, the value would be X.
Yeah, this particular commodity,
Yeah.
this is the value.
Right.
Everybody knows
So
that.
that's how it
Because
is
of the corruption,
Yeah.
importer declare lower value with the connivance of the customs officer,
Right.
and you pay less duty.
Right. How do you? Okay, you're a former customs officer.
Yeah.
You can't be very popular with
Yeah,
them now.
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
Naga, how do we get to the bottom of this? What positive steps can be taken, should be taken, to eradicate this form of corruption, which is obviously blatantly happening?
Yes, it can be
what do we
done.
do?
It can be done.
How?
Provided it start from the top.
Okay.
Start from the top.
When you mean the top here, what does the top
From
mean?
the head of the state, the
Okay.
finance minister, the director general of customs, it has to come from the top.
Right.
You can't find fault with the officers.
Right.
I never find fault with the
Okay, so
officers.
what
That's a
can-
system failure.
Okay, so what does the head of state do?
Head of the state now, the current head of the state is the Vikramasinghe, he is the Minister of Finance.
Right.
I have exposed this in many occasions.
Right. But what should he do now?
He should have the right man at the head of the department of the Customs Department, okay, and he must give directions to make sure the Department of Customs collect the proper revenue for the government.
Right.
The main purpose of the Customs Department is to collection of revenue and prevention of smuggling.
Do you have designs on being the head of customs?
Why not?
Is this a formal application for you to be the head of customs? Is that what you want?
I don't want to.
No. Okay.
No.
Well, I just thought I'd ask because just in case my viewers
Yeah.
say that, oh well, come on, he's making an application to be the head of customs. So I'm glad you're saying that that's not the case. But how?
I am there to help anybody.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, how do you say what should they do? 1, 2, 3. The practical steps.
Restore the rule of law.
Right.
Customs law introduced by the British
Right.
about 200 years ago.
Is it wrong now?
No, nothing wrong with the customs
Right.
law.
Okay.
The failure is the implementation.
So there's a lack of implementation.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I took one case to court of law and proved.
Without
right?
mentioning names.
No, without mentioning. Okay.
Yeah. Tell me that story without mentioning names. Because
Okay, custom officer. Right.
Case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Customs officer. Because the system failure, when the importer comes to him, he increased the value by 5%.
Right.
And then the importer goes to his, that is called the appraiser.
Right.
Then it goes to the superintendent.
Right.
Okay. And he increased it to 10%.
What?
For the custom purposes, they increase the value.
Okay.
Then you go to the deputy director.
Yeah.
And if he is not happy, there is no hard and fast rule for this.
Right.
Maybe 20% or 30%.
Right.
When you go to the director, sometimes it goes up to 50%.
50% of the
Value declared for custom purposes increased by 50% now.
because the customs don't agree that that's the figure.
Because the custom feel every fellow
Undervalued.
That is the general thing, no?
Yeah.
General tendency is always importers to declare lower value for custom purposes to defraud the revenue of customs.
Yes.
Okay.
So right from the beginning, there's this element of corruption in the making.
Is there now in this particular case? I am not referring the particular names. Okay.
No, yeah.
And
So
the court.
this particular importer imported item X.
Yeah.
And when he went to the customs said no. This is undervalued. You need to increase it by 5%. Then they said 10%. Then they said 20%. Then they said 30%. And our importer says, no chance in hell. I am not paying because I have not undervalued.
Yes.
Then what happened?
And then one fellow cut the invoice value and put 5%.
Yeah.
Second fellow cut it and put 10%.
Yeah.
Third fellow 30%.
Yeah.
Fourth fellow 50%. When I took it to court of law,
Yeah.
so judge couldn't believe it. How come it happened like this?
Yeah.
He threw it away. He threw it away because the importer said, I have not undervalued at all.
He was a bona fide
importer. And he said, I can pay 5%, or about 60,000.
Yeah.
But for the court matter, it cost him a lot of money.
Yeah.
But said, I don't care. I will take it to court.
I'm not.
On principle, and it was taken to court of law.
Yeah.
And the court straight away made an order, again the Director General of Customs, to accept the declared value. By the import in this particular case.
Because the importer was a bona fide.
But whereas,
Yeah.
almost 99% of the cases,
Yeah.
the practice is,
Yeah.
okay, importer deliberately do undervaluation
Yeah.
and pay lesser duty. What happens there, okay, so the officers who undermine the value for custom purposes, this practice going on and on for a longer period of time now.
Yeah.
So if I am the importer and you are the officer, you know how many shipments that I have imported, declared lower value.
Right.
So say 15 shipments or 10 shipments or whatever. Later on that you pass the information to another officer.
Right.
And say, go and catch the fellow.
Right.
Right? I know he has imported this particular item 15 shipments. And you can raid his business premises. You can search his computer, mobile phone, WhatsApp messages or any other source of information and collect this genuine information.
Right.
Then the group of officers raid his place of, whatever the business premises and take over all this paperwork. Okay? And then they find the actual valuation.
Right.
So earlier, with the connivance of the custom officer, he paid a lesser duty, maybe about 50% or 30% or whatever.
Because it's undervalued.
Absolutely. Then, now he is asked to pay, the officers now earlier, they get, when they do the undervaluation, the share of profit. Okay, whatever the profit they make through undervaluation, difference 20%, 30% goes to the customs officer, whereas the 70% goes to the businessman.
Right.
Okay.
Are you saying this with real knowledge?
Why not? Right. Absolutely.
Right.
And then, now they make black money. Now easier for them when the businessman is caught, okay, And when it imports, now they know the actual valuation.
Yeah.
Okay, say for the 10 shipments or 15 shipments, they import, they say now there's a undervaluation and defrauding of revenue of 50 million.
Yeah.
So they catch you, okay, and ask you to make a confession.
Right.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
Then you say, no, I have not done anything wrong.
Right.
But officers know that they have done something wrong. Then the customs law provides, okay, there's a provision of law in the customs ordinance, take him straight away to the magistrate and put him behind bars in the remand custody.
Yeah.
And
That's legally allowed.
And then when you are in the remand custody, customs officers are empowered to ask the prison authorities to produce him before the customs.
Right.
While he is in the remand custody.
Right.
Then he produced before customs, and then custom officers ask, are you ready to pay?
Right.
Now you spend 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Do you want to wait there for another month? Sometimes he may say, no, I am not ready. Then he is taken back to remand. Because when they produce him before magistrate, they inform the court, you have no authority to grant bail, you have to go to the high court to get a bail. Right? Under exceptional circumstances only the bail can be granted.
That's the legal.
Yeah, that's the law. So when he spend there for a month or 2 or 3,
Yeah.
he collapsed. Okay? He collapsed.
As in the importer collapsed.
And then he agreed to
Medically
pay.
collapsed.
Right? In almost all cases it happened.
Yeah.
Then he pay the revenue, whatever the amount of money defrauded.
Right.
So who gets that money?
Yes, I was about to ask you, who gets that money? Does it all go to the treasury?
No. 1/3 goes to 50% goes to the custom officers management and reward fund.
Right.
Other half goes to the revenue.
Right.
Okay? And
So when it's a fine, let me get this right now. When it's a fine imposed under the customs ordinance for whatever reason, because you undervalued, you got caught,
yeah.
you smuggled, whatever. From the revenue collected as a fine,
Yeah.
half, 50% goes to the
Revenue.
customs officers rewards section.
That's right.
The balance half, 50%, goes to the state
Revenue.
treasury. Okay. If there was no fraud, and if the duty was collected in the normal way without fraud, all that money collected would go to
the revenue.
To the revenue. I just want to make that point. Carry on.
Yeah. So you understand. I believe that who watch
I'm
this
sure
program.
Our viewers will.
Yeah, absolutely.
follow
Now, if the revenue
Yeah.
collection, process,
Yeah.
okay, it's a transparent
Yeah.
and known to everybody,
Yeah.
and then the importers, because when one person declare a lower value,
Yeah.
and the genuine businessman can't survive in the market.
Right.
He's compelled to do the undervaluation.
Right.
Because you declare lower value and pay less duty, I have to pay more duty. So I'm compelled to do the undervaluation, and in order to, because there is always in the trade,
Yeah.
trade practice, it's difficult to do any kind of a trade where there is a competition unless all parties declare the actual valuation and pay. One person do undervaluation, therefore the other fellow also compelled to pay.
Right.
So the process has to be, the government must design a system, okay, and the Director General of Customs must give a clear directions, right, and that is to make sure the Department of Customs, the collection of revenue, entire system has to be transparent, and the businessman should be able to find out the actual value for acceptable for custom purposes through the customs website. Okay, then you know what is the value for this particular commodity, and the officers can't have 2 sets of invoice, okay, in the file, one file for undervaluation purposes,
And one file.
one file with the genuine valuations, okay, for the imported commodity.
Right.
If you can get rid of this system, as we discussed at the very beginning, revenue can be easily doubled.
And so instead of 900 billion,
It can be 1.8.
1,300 billion, which is what the the target of the government is, it could actually be 1,800 billion and perhaps more.
Absolutely, because the system is collapsed. So there are, I must tell you, the other officers will think that I find fault with every officer.
Yeah.
There are very good officers, better than this 225.
Right.
Okay, there are much better officers. They will not
It
do
always goes to this 225,
Yeah.
which is, it's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But tell us, practical steps.
Yeah.
The Minister of Finance, what can he do to tighten up this process?
So you can't expect that to happen in Sri Lanka.
Well, but we're talking about it.
No,
We
no,
need
no.
to-
Who
we
is
need
the
to
minister in charge of finance?
Well, it's
Ranil Wickremesinghe.
yes.
So when the cabinet of ministers are also corrupt, you can't expect that to happen. No? That's what I
Well-
said. You asked me whether I'm willing to join the customs department.
Yeah.
There's no point there. You can't do it like that.
No.
So when the
Okay.
system collapses, you can't expect.
Yes, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's very general and so
Yeah.
to say that we know corruption is there, but we can't call any particular one corrupt until it's proven in a court of law.
Yeah.
So need to give this disclaimer here. But in a practical scenario,
Okay.
so the minister says, I'm not willing to accept all this nonsense. So is it sort of entrusted to like the revenue task force of the customs to fully implement? Is the RTF full of good, decent people?
There are very good people. They are capable of doing a lot of work there.
Yeah.
And make sure that the proper revenue is collected for the government. But as I said before, if you let me talk freely,
Yeah.
okay, I have enough, evidence about the abuse of power by these politicians, particularly the person in charge of finance.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a recent case. When we can't buy gas, okay, buy gas, the World Bank gave us $75 million.
Yes, I know what you're saying, Naga, but my question to you is slightly wider.
No, what I say,
Yeah.
when the minister himself, in that particular case, defrauded over 3 billion of public funds,
Yeah.
you can't expect such a person to enforce the rule of law in the government
But
department. No.
it is an allegation.
Not allegation. It's not allegation, it's a proven fact.
Yeah.
Approved
not
tender.
proven, but not proven in a court of law.
Look,
not tested in a court.
No, you are wrong there.
Right.
Because the valuation approved by the cabinet was $96 per ton.
Yeah.
Finally, it gave it to $129
All right,
per
you
ton.
talk about that.
Yeah, that.
Yes.
So finally, I had to withdraw that court action because the court failed to give an interim relief. Therefore, they paid at the rate of $129
Right, yes, so
and they defrauded the revenue.
That's obviously wasted.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
talking about the customs
Yeah.
itself,
Okay.
should, in your opinion,
Yeah.
as a former customs officer and
Yeah.
now on the other side trying to fight corruption, how do you believe that the Director General of Customs must address this issue? How should he do it? Should he entrust it all to one department like the RTF and say, listen, every single shipment, you're going to look at it?
No. It is impossible, no?
Right.
These are as I mentioned before, I think customs is the major revenue earner for the government.
Yeah.
Then comes inland revenue.
So therefore,
then
it has to be clicking on all sort of...
absolutely, it has to be installed. The rule of law has to come from top to bottom, enforcement of the rule of law. When the head of the state, the cabinet ministers and the MPs are corrupt, you can't expect the public officers to be genuine. No. You can't find, whoever, officers will definitely do the right thing,
Yeah.
provided the top set an example. That is the problem in the customs department. So,
But that seems to be a problem everywhere.
Yeah.
We need to lead from example.
yeah, so that,
As you enter the twilight years of your life,
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Kodithuwakku, what is your feeling? What do you feel that in your lifetime some semblance of decency and integrity will pervade Sri Lanka's political system? Or do you think there's no?
there seems to be, no. I have no such hopes because even the citizens is corrupt in the country. Our citizens also corrupt. No? When you want to admit your child to a school, you give a wrong birth certificate. You start from the beginning, right? When the people themselves are corrupt and they promote the corruption in the,
But
they know.
is that a bit unfair? Because the system is such that the people feel obliged to pay something to go and get it
no,
done.
I disagree.
Okay.
When I wanted to admit my child to Ananda College,
Yeah.
Faraz, right? It is 1990s, okay?
Yeah.
And I was asked to get the birth certificate to an address close to the college, Ananda College. I refused.
Right.
Because you are brought in such a way, no? I refused, then my child, I could not admit him to the Ananda College. I had to admit him to a private college. But the college wanted me to give the, they asked me why, what made you to not to give a wrong address. But I don't know whether you will do, but I refused. That's my son's original number, first certificate, public document. I refuse to do that. So there are such people. So what I
So
say,
unless we have a complete wholesale change in our country, corruption will continue, revenues will be down, and the people's suffering will carry on. That's what it is, isn't it?
corruption will continue.
But
right?
unless we all change, if we all sit-
How? It's not that easy task.
It's not easy.
Easy task,
But
unless,
Nagananda, Kodithuwakku, thank you very much as we come to the end of our program here in Richmond, London. Thank you very much for being on Newsline.
Thank you.
And that's the way it was for Newsline. Wish you a great evening ahead as much as you can. And as always, God bless you all.